we'll see how this works out. This is also where the number of episodes starts to go down to in each season.
That's fine. I'm sure there's still plenty of scandals and murders to discuss. Certainly plenty of dragon-caused barbecues.
I'm going to put that over there. You're going to be in charge of that part.
Okay.
Oh, I did that. Okay, cool. Well, shall we get started?
I suppose.
We've returned now to our Buzzed recap series, which we unfortunately have not been able to do.
It's been a hot minute.
In a few weeks. But we're back. We're almost done, by the way. We've been through 6 full seasons of Game of Thrones. Today will be the 7th. And we're going to go through all the happenings, all of the intrigue, all of the things, all the deaths, all the betrayals.
All the sibling fucking?
Yeah, there's some of that.
Cousin fucking?
Nephew,
aunt
fucking.
Okay,
yeah.
There we go.
So give us a like while you're here. And if we miss anything, by the way, this is as it happens in the show, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not in the books. So if you're here as a
You're like, hey, wait a minute, that doesn't happen in barter.
Right.
Well, first of all, we're past the point where things are written in books.
Yeah, right.
So I don't know how you would make that argument.
Right. Yeah, I guess I shouldn't even really give the disclaimer because how could this be about the books?
Because George R. R. Martin hasn't written them yet.
Yeah, and I don't think he ever will.
Nope. He's just going to die and Brandon Sanderson will finish it.
Yeah. Okay. I don't like Brandon Sanderson very much.
Yeah, that's fair.
We'll talk about that later. Or not here because I don't care, but maybe some other time we'll talk about it. If I forget anything, I've gotten most of like the really important stuff. Some stuff I just left out because like depending on how important it is, it's not there. If I forgot your favorite scene, I'm so sorry. You'll get over it. Put it in the comments though. If I missed anything important, which I don't think I have, do that as well. As a preface, this is the point in Game of Thrones
where Benioff and Weiss stopped giving a shit.
Yeah, and the fans' reactions to things that happened vary. They're all over the place, and there are questionable motives, questionable things that happen. What I'm going to try to do is paint them in the best light, and try to deliver them in the spirit in which they were,
intended.
Yeah. So like I know there's shit that happens or doesn't happen. I'm gonna try to relay the intent and make it the moment that it was supposed to be. So keep that in mind. And then have I missed anything? Oh yeah, we've got our drinks because this is Buzz Recap, which I think you pointed out you're making them stronger and stronger every week.
Yeah. Not on purpose. It's just kind of happening.
Ooh. Oh, that's good though. Mm-hmm. It tastes a little bit like floor cleaner.
just a little bit.
Shall we do a quick tour around what's happening?
I think so, because it's been long enough. I don't remember who any of these people are.
Yeah. Okay. So, Daenerys Targaryen,
first of her name, true heir
Queen
to
of the
Iron
Andals,
Throne,
the first
depending
man, blah, blah,
who
blah.
you ask.
She started in this show with her and her creepy fucking brother in Pentos.
Mm-hmm.
Not an army or anything to her name. She is now with at her back an unsullied army, a Dothraki horde, 3 large, terrifyingly destructive dragons,
and some friends.
Her new hand of the Queen Tyrion, the general of her unsullied army, her assistant and confidant Missandei.
Mm-hmm.
Varys is fucking there, and they are on ships. And for the first time, Chris, in 6 seasons, she is on her way to fucking Westeros. The dragons are coming, and they have no idea how much trouble they're in. She is left. Well, she broke up with her lover.
Mm-hmm.
That guy.
That guy.
It's what happens when I start drinking, is I just start like forgetting shit like this. the sexy, her boyfriend.
Not important.
She's left him behind in Marine. She broke up with him because she's like, I'm gonna have to go over there and marry someone and have kids. I'm sorry, this was fun while it lasted. Fuck off. You stay here with the second sons and you keep the queen's peace in Marine. And he's like, all right. I mean, I live at your pleasure, so that's fine. Jorah, while now in the queen's good graces, has grayscale, which is extremely communicable, and he cannot be around the queen, obviously.
So he's kind of just gone off to die a hermit.
Right. Well, actually, he was given an order by his queen to find a cure. Okay. Let's look at the state of things in Westeros. Dorne is now run by Oberyn's widow, who has assassinated the king.
Good for her.
Now rules over Dorne with the 3 bastard childs of Oberyn.
Girls get it done.
Yes, and they're having a blast down there. And they fucking hate the Lannisters. So they are looking for any excuse to lay waste to King's Landing. They are ready for it. Sam is in Old Town at the Citadel with his squeeze.
He's trying to get
Gilly.
his degree. He's trying to better himself.
Right. He's learning to be a maester. His father, by the way, Randall Tarley, and his brother Dickon. So you had the same exact reaction that a character literally has when they introduce him. They are at their ancestral home at Hornhill.
What kind of parent names their child Dickon? Like, he came out of that fucking womb, and the father just said, "I do not love you at all. Your name is Dickon."
Here's the thing: we know that in this world, the word "dick" is slang for penis. Like, it's not like that's just a thing that earthly humans do. Like, they use the same word in the same way. So who the fuck knows? This guy is the Trump supporter of all Trump supporters, by the way. He's such an asshole. Olenna Tyrell,
the Queen of Shade.
Yes, is in Highgarden and shit. In King's Landing, which is still the seat of power, Cersei is now the queen, having blown up all of the people that were after her.
Yeah, she blew up the church.
Yeah. Has named herself queen. All of her children are dead.
Oh, yeah.
She has her hand of the queen, Qyburn. Right at the end of the last season, Jaime Lannister gets home. Right, she's getting coronated, and he's like, "What the fuck happened here?" And he's like,
"Why is the church gone?
What happened to the church?" She's got her zombie boy, the mountain.
Zombie mountain,
and Jaime has Sir Brown of the Blackwater. Who, like, he pays to hang out with him pretty much.
They're bros.
You might remember the end of last season. Sandor Clegane,
the Hound,
finds the Brotherhood Without Banners, and is like, they're like, "You want to join?" He's like, "You know what?
Fucking sure. I don't got anything else going on."
I guess so. So Brienne of Tarth was sent to River Run to try to get the Blackfish to come back up and help Sansa. He refused, and he died. And now I'm going to put her back up here because she's going to be back up to Winterfell. She's Sansa's sworn sword, which she offers like 3 times, and she turns it down like 3 times. This is Euron Greyjoy. He's now the leader of the Iron Islands.
Oh yeah, that's a dickhead.
Yes, and Theon and his sister Yara are now with a small navy. They've run away.
Okay.
Walder Frey still watches over the twins. And is a piece of shit. You might remember was responsible for the Red Wedding, and is one of the names on Arya Stark's list.
He's also Argus Filch, which is just reason to kill him anyway.
Yes. That man is such a talented actor, by the way. Yeah. This is Aaron, or not Aaron. This is his last name. Robin Aaron, who is the Lord of the Vale now.
Is he the guy that likes throwing people in the bottom
out the moon door? Yeah. Yes.
Hey, Arya.
I know we're gonna get to her.
Okay.
Okay. So you might remember that the Melisandre, the Red Witch, was cast out because she had the Queen Shireen burned alive in front of her parents, and then everyone died. And she's like, you know what? Maybe I'm going to go away.
I showed one person too many my tits.
Yeah. In the north, Jon Snow has successfully taken back Winterfell from the Boltons.
Good for him.
And rules as
the King of the North.
Yeah, King of the North. Here he's with his sister Sansa, who has been through a lot and is a world-wise woman now. And the people loyal to her are this guy who's the commander of the Knights of the Vale, and Peter Baelish, who's
that fucking guy
just trying to get his claws in, right? And then Brienne of Tarth is also loyal to Sansa, with her squire Podrick Payne, and loyal to Jon is Sir Davos. And they're bros now.
Yeah. So they got some guys.
Yes. We got Lady
Mormont.
Lady Mormont over here in Bear Island. And then the Night King has murdered the old 3A Raven.
That's not good.
And Hodor as well.
Oh.
But was not able to stop Bran Stark from becoming the new 3A Raven. And he's here with Jojen's sister.
Okay.
And she's kind of pulling his
pulling his sled.
Yeah. And then finally, after completing her training with the Faceless Men and killing the waif, she is on her way home.
Good for Arya.
And she sets sail, and she arrives in Westeros. Okay. Now, at the Twins, Walder Frey is having so he's going to be in charge of River Run. He beat the Blackfish. He's gloating about it. And he's sitting in his hall and is expecting his sons to come and visit. And he's up at the head table, and he's like eating his pie. And he looks around and discovers that his sons aren't there. And he looks over at his servant girl and says, where the fuck are my sons? And the servant girl says, they're there. They're right there. And he's like, the fuck are you talking about? She's like, they're right there. And he looks down at his pie, and he pulls out a thumb. And freaks out.
Understandably so.
Looks over at the servant girl, who has pulled off her face. Arya Stark grabs him by the back of the head and slits his throat and smiles at him as he dies.
Gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss.
And there, the perpetrator of the Red Wedding, how did he survive this long? Who the fuck knows? Dies alone. Just as Arya intended, making sure that the last thing he saw was a Stark smiling at him. Fucking dead. Now, a few days later, Walder Frey throws a party in his hall.
Oh, does he?
And he brings all of House Frey in. All of House Frey comes. They're going to celebrate their victory at River Run. He passes out drinks to everyone, goblets. Everyone gets wine. Walder Frey, because he is a cantankerous, miserable old bastard, doesn't let any of the servant girls have any of the wine. And so he gives a toast and gloats about the Red Wedding, and we killed Robb Stark and blah, blah, blah. And everyone's like, yeah, fuck Robb Stark. They all drink their wine, and then one by one, every member of the Frey house starts falling over dead. Vomiting blood, fucking it's gross. They all die. All these fucking servant girls are like, what the fuck is happening? They look at Walder Frey. He takes his face
Pulls
off.
off his face, and it's Arya.
It's Arya Stark. And she says, when people ask what happened here, tell them that House Stark came for House Frey. And it says that Winter came for House Frey. And just walks out. And that's how the whole fucking season starts. You're like, oh, yes. Okay, now, Jon Snow is obviously in charge of Winterfell. And so, like, his thing is, like, they fought the war with Bolton. They won back Winterfell, but that's not the problem, right?
The problem is the zombies are coming.
Yeah. And so they need to figure out how to deal with it, right? And they're trying to figure out where to get dragon glass, because that's the only thing that they know for sure kills them. So they're trying to mine dragon glass and shit. Sansa finds herself at odds with Jon quite a bit. Jon is kind of a moron, right? I mean, he's noble as fuck, he's honest as fuck,
but he's simple.
He really is. Sansa, because of everything she's gone through, is able to see situations for what they truly are, right? And so she's known to publicly disagree with Jon, and everyone's like, no, I don't like it when mom and dad's fighting, I don't like this. And Peter Baelish uses these little incidences to get his little claws in, and to suggest
to get his little finger in, perhaps?
Yes, exactly. And suggests every once in a while, in veiled terms, maybe we shouldn't have a king in the north. Maybe we should have a queen in the north. Just saying. Yeah. Just putting a little bit in your ear. Yeah. Please don't kill me. Oh, Brienne's coming. I'm running away. And that's more or less how those go. Okay, so now Cersei is starting to realize that they are surrounded by enemies. They've got Olenna Tyrell, who is pissed that her granddaughter was murdered. They've got Dorne down here with their bullshit. To the north, they have the Starks. Someone has killed all of House Frey, and no one knows what the fuck happened with that. And there are rumors that a girl with 3 dragons is crossing the Narrow Sea. And so, and all her kids are dead, by the way.
Oh, yeah. So Cersei has not had a very good time with it.
So she's like, well, what the fuck do we do?
I guess I fuck my brother?
Which she does a lot, yes. And they kind of like take stock of their precarious like situation and shit. And right around then, Euron Greyjoy comes pulling into Blackwater Bay with his pretty ships. And he shows up and he's like, I've got the best fucking navy in the world. I want to fuck you. Officially. We'll be married.
Legally.
Yeah. And like he looks at Jaime and is like, yeah, I'm coming for your sister wife. And he's like, but look, I get it. You can't trust me. So I'm going to go and get you a priceless gift that will prove my undying love for you. Okay. And then we'll, and
then we'll make with the fucky.
Yeah. And Cersei's like, okay. And Jaime's like,
excuse me?
Not. We should probably talk about this first. And she's like, no, I'm the queen. This is the decision I made. Okay, so Arya now, the next name on her list is Cersei. So she says, I'm going south. I'm going to kill the fucking queen, right? Now, on the road, she runs into Lannister soldiers. And she camps with them. And they're all younger guys. None of them know why they're even fighting. They're just soldiers in the war and shit. And Arya starts to see them as humans. One of them like straight up asks her like, what are you doing on the King's Road? And she's like, I'm gonna go kill the queen. And
like,
and they all laugh. They think it's goofy, and she kind of giggles along, but she's like, no, but really, I'm gonna
seriously, I'm gonna fucking shank her.
And then she realizes like, okay, a lot of the Lannisters, they're just trying to live their lives and shit, and they're constantly at risk of being burned alive or whatever the fuck.
Well, not yet. The dragons aren't here.
Yeah, but so she starts to see them in a slightly different light, right? Now, the Hound is hanging out with these guys, and they're just kind of walking around in the cold and shit, and they find an old abandoned farmstead that is very familiar to Sandor. Because a few seasons before, you might remember that when Arya was hanging out with him, they found this guy and his daughter that he robs and then leaves, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out that the guy and his daughter have starved to death in their house, and they're just skeletons now on their bed and shit.
Pleasant.
And they stay the night in the house, and the hound insists on burying them and shit. And they're all Beric Dondarrion and Thoros of Myr are like, they're trying to make a believer out of the hound, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he's a hound. He's like, fuck you, I'm an atheist.
Yeah.
And they have their talks about destiny and fate and shit. And he's like, I don't give a shit about all that. And then Thoros of Myr fucking starts fire. Remember, he's a red priest as well, so he can do like crazy shit with fire.
Yeah.
Starts a fire, and it was like, hey, come over here and look at the fire. And he's like, first of all, my brother burned one side of my face with fire, so no. And he's like, no, but really, come over here and look at the fire. And he's like, okay, fuck you. He makes this really funny joke at some point in the season. He tells Thoros that his top knot isn't fooling anyone and that everyone knows he's bald. It's really funny. Their dynamic is very weird.
Yeah.
The hound looks into the fire. We don't see what he sees, but he sees something and walks away from this situation. Like, oh, maybe I'm not an atheist. What the fuck? And we don't see what they see, but they decide, like, Beric Dondarrion and Thoros tell him the dead are coming. We're marching north to Winterfell to help the realms of men. Are you with us? And he's like, I guess. Yeah. I mean, okay. Also, where the fuck am I going to go anyway?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Samwell Tarly is doing his internship at the Citadel, right?
Yep.
And he meets like the guy in charge, who's played by the same guy that plays Slughorn in Harry Potter.
So he's doing his undergrad shit.
Yeah, the Archmaester. And they mostly have him cleaning out chamber pots.
Yeah.
And it's gross.
Like you do when you're an undergrad.
And he has access to the library, but he doesn't have access to the forbidden section. So he steals a key and gets in there.
We'll let you look at the books, but you can't read them.
Right. So he sneaks in and discovers that under Dragonstone is this giant depository of dragon glass.
Huh. That would be awfully useful if Jon Snow knew about it.
So Samwell grabs his quill and his parchment and is like, Dear Jon, dragon glass at Dragonstone. Now that I'm writing that out, that actually makes a lot of sense. Love you, Sam. And sends it off to him. While at the Citadel, he's walking through the hospital wing of the Citadel. Like where all the people who are soon going to die are. Yes. And he's like giving them their food and shit. And as he walks past one of the doors, an arm reaches out and grabs him, and it's got grayscale all up one arm, and a voice calls, "Has Daenerys Stormborn come to Westeros yet?" And it's Jorah. And Sam's like, I don't know what the fuck that is. Bye. Please don't touch me.
Yeah.
With your very communicable disease. And so now we know where Jorah is. Okay. So Daenerys now lands at Dragonstone.
She got dragons. It's called Dragonstone. Seems like a natural fit.
Now, looking back at this, looking through the lens of having seen House of the Dragon, it really is kind of a powerful moment because this was the seat of Targaryen power when they're not ruling all the Seven Kingdoms.
Yeah.
And having her return to Dragonstone, which, by the way, is not that far away from King's Landing. This is Dragonstone, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they make that point at the end of season 2 of House of the Dragon when the dragons are flying around.
Yes. And so, like, Daenerys, or Cersei is, like, shitting herself.
Oh, fuck!
Yeah.
There's dragons over there.
Yeah.
I thought they were gone forever.
Yeah.
If you need me, I'll be, soiling my chamber pot.
So they walk through the fucking the castle and everything, and they pull down the because remember that Stannis Baratheon
what's his face?
Yeah. Pulls down the Baratheon flags puts up Targaryen flags. First time that a Targaryen flag is flown at Dragonstone since the war. And she has a little war council. And Tyrion and everything's there, and they're trying to figure out what they're going to do. And Daenerys looks out at the table. They've got the painted table from House of the Dragon. It didn't come with an owner's manual, so she didn't know to put the candles under it.
Yeah.
But she looks out at them and she's like, "Where do we begin? Let's do our fucking war."
Yeah.
So Tyrion's there, Varys is there, Missandei, Grey Worm, Yara and Theon are there.
Huh.
They've sailed over. And Yara is like, we'll side with you. If you make us the rulers of Iron Island. And Daenerys is like, well, you gotta stop raping and pillaging everywhere. And she's like, okay, that's fine. Also, a crazy amount of sexual tension between Yara and Daenerys because Yara is a lesbian.
Okay.
And she has the hots for Daenerys.
Good
and
for her.
Daenerys is like, probably would. Depends. Also there is Alaria Sand. Why do I keep pressing that button?
I don't know. I do keep pressing that button.
And her daughters. And Olenna Tyrell.
Oh.
Who is like, you know what? Fuck the Lannisters. Let's fucking go.
Yeah.
And so they discuss how they're going to do this. And Tyrion's big plan is to march the Unsullied over to Casterly Rock and take the Lannister seat of power.
Okay.
And then have Yara and Theon sail down and pick up all of the Dornish guys. And then with the Dothraki and meeting up also with the Unsullied, lay siege to King's Landing and just surround the city and snuff them out, or at least get them to surrender, right? You'll notice that this plan is the plan that would cause the least number of casualties, because Tyrion's whole thing is, you could end the war tomorrow. You have 3 fully grown dragons. You could go to King's Landing,
burn the whole place down.
But
what does that leave you with?
Also, this country will be constantly in rebellion against you. So, let's do this right. Let's do it with as few casualties as possible. Change as many minds as we can along the way, and do it that way. Olenna Tyrell looks at Daenerys and says, first of all, I've stopped listening to stupid men a long fucking time ago. You are a dragon. Be a dragon. Just go burn the whole fucking thing down. Because she doesn't give a fuck anymore. Olenna Tyrell's like, just fuck everything.
She's done.
Yeah. There's a little bit of tension with Varys. And this becomes important later. Because Varys has betrayed every ruler he's worked with. And she points that out. And he's like, look, I am not loyal to any monarch. I am loyal to the people, like the common folk. And as long as your interests are aligned with theirs, I will always serve you. But when you're not, that's when we have a problem. And then she says, I'll make you a deal that if you ever feel like I'm not living up to the needs of the common folk, that you'll tell me before you betray me. And he's like, deal. Yeah, fucking easy. Yeah. Also, since they're having a party at Dragonstone, Melisandre is like, hey, guys, I heard you guys were hanging out in Dragonstone.
Hey, let me show you where they keep all the good drugs.
Yeah. And she walks up to Daenerys, and she's like, first, look at my titties. And Daenerys is like,
those are some nice tits.
We both have nice tits. We can bond over that. And then Melisandre's like, okay, now we have to talk about serious shit. I need to tell you about the prophecy of the prince that was promised.
Okay.
And she tells her about this prophecy, and then Missandei.
By the way, did you know your ancestors had this really cool dagger that if you put it in fire, it would tell you all this?
Yeah. I don't think she even knows about that.
Oh.
Missandei speaks up and was like, actually, you're not translating this from High Valyrian accurately. The noun that's used for this is unisex. It is not the prince that was promised. It's the prince or princess that was promised. And Daenerys is like, so there's a prophecy about me? Because that sounds compelling.
Yeah.
And so now fucking Melisandre is hanging out with them, and who the fuck knows?
And is convinced that Daenerys Targaryen is the next coming of Christ, I guess.
Yes. So she also said, Melisandre says, the dead are coming. The whole reason I'm giving you this fucking prophecy, the dead are coming. You need to speak to Jon Snow. And Daenerys turns to Tyrion and is like, who the fuck is Jon Snow? And he's like, we met once on the way to the wall. He's solid. He's an honest man.
Mm-hmm.
He would be an amazing ally in this war. You should send a raven. And she's like, I'll send a raven and tell him to bend the knee, and then we'll talk. And he's like, oh,
don't know if he'll say yes.
Northerners don't love that.
Yeah,
they don't do the
they are a stubborn lot.
So they send the raven off. Jon gets it. And Sansa immediately is like, Jon, this is a stupid fucking idea. Our father went south, died. Jon went south, fucking died.
Jon is
or not Jon.
Rob.
Rob. Like every time a northern man goes south, they fucking die. And he's like, that's a good point you brought up. I'm gonna go. And she's like, oh my fucking god, I can't even with him right now.
Jon, you fucking numbskull.
Yeah. And so he's like, Davos and I, we hear about the party at Dragonstone. We would like to attend, please.
Jon's like, look, I've already died once. What are they gonna do? Kill me again?
Well, also his thing is, we just got this letter from Sam. There's dragon glass down there. So like, I have a reason to go anyway.
Yeah.
Like, if anything, maybe she won't cut my head off and just let me have her dragon glass. Giggity.
Yeah.
And when she leaves, Littlefinger is there to remind her that,
hey, maybe you should be the queen in the north.
You were the one being reasonable. You made the choice that ruler would make, and hey, you're in charge of Winterfell now, because there always has to be a Stark in Winterfell.
Mm-hmm.
You're the one now. You're in charge. You have an entire army.
Mm-hmm.
And, what are we going to do here? But I'm not saying you should.
Not saying you should.
Oh, God, there's Brienne. I'm going to run. All right. So
I like the idea that Littlefinger shows up when Brienne of Tarth is out of the room.
Oh, he's terrible.
As soon as she walks back in, he just immediately skitters away.
Yeah. So Cersei summons all the banners to King's Landing.
Mm-hmm.
That she knows are still loyal to her. And she gives this Trump speech about how Daenerys has brought these savage foreigners to Westeros, and they're transing the dogs, or they're transing the direwolves.
They're not bringing their best.
Yeah. And she's like, we need to go to war with them, or we won't have a country.
Yeah.
And they're like, this guy is such a fucking trumper that he's like, yeah, fuck Daenerys. Yeah, fuck that. We're gonna go back home and we're gonna get ready for war.
Mm-hmm.
Let me catch up with I want to take a sip because you've made me a very good drink.
I made you a very strong drink. There's a difference.
Yeah, it gets better as I drink it.
Oh, yeah.
One of the bannermen is like, she has 3 fucking dragons. What do we do with that? And she's like, we actually have a solution for that.
Okay.
And they're like, can you tell us what it is? And she's like, it's secret. It's classified.
No, can't tell you.
So she turns to Qyburn and is like, we do have a solution for the dragons, right? And he's like, follow me down to the basement.
Yeah.
And he takes her down to the basement and shows her, you might remember in House of the Dragon, King's Landing had a bunch of those giant fucking
ballistas.
Yeah. And he's like, I dug one of these out of storage.
Yeah, we can make some more.
Yeah, and this can kill a fucking dragon because we've read about it before. Like, it's, you'll see it in a show that'll come out here in a few years. And she's like, fabulous.
Thank fucking Christ.
So she's feeling a lot better about the whole dragons thing. All right. So as Sam is doing shit at the Citadel, he reads in a book that you can cure Dragonstone. Grayscale, yeah.
How narratively convenient.
It is insanely dangerous, should only be attempted on small children, and the person that wrote the book about it died of grayscale.
that isn't really filling me with confidence here.
But he finds out that Jorah is the son of J.R. Mormont, the former commander of the Night's Watch.
Okay.
And says, we're going to fucking cure this grayscale. And the Archmaester, the guy running the Citadel, is like, no, you're not doing that. You may not do that. Permission denied. Go back to cleaning out the shit pots. And he's like, okay. And so he just sneaks in there at night with his little tray of instruments and ointments, and he props the book open. As he's reading it, does the procedure on Jorah. And is successful.
Wow.
Is able to cut away all of the infected flesh. He wears gloves.
Good for him.
Which is probably why he doesn't get grayscale.
Yeah.
And it saves his life.
Well, shit.
Yeah.
Good job, Sam.
Because basically they were like, the Archmaester tells Jorah, he's like, look, tomorrow we're sending you out to Old Valyria to live with the Stone Men. Here's your sword. If you need to make any adjustments to the state of your living before tomorrow, I suggest you do it. And looks at the sword and looks at him. He's like, that
was an invitation to harakiri.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying, right?
Do a little seppuku.
Yeah. And that's when fucking Sam cuts all his fucking grayscale off. So Arya's riding south to assassinate the queen, right? Mm-hmm. And she stops at a familiar inn.
But where he wants some chicken.
No, that's a different inn.
Oh, okay. Not that familiar.
This is the inn where, in the first season, Catelyn takes Tyrion prisoner. And where Sansa meets Brienne for the first time, and Brienne's like, let me help you. And she's like, I don't know who the fuck you are. Arya goes there, and it turns out that her friend Hot Pie, the big tubby guy, is like running the inn now.
Oh, hey,
and
Hot Pie.
Yeah, and he makes these fucking killer pies and shit. And he's like giving her, he's like, you know, the secret to my pie recipe is you do the butter and shit. And she stops. She's like, oh, I didn't try that in my pie. And Hot Pie is just like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But all of us are like, oh.
How do you make a pie without butter? Come on, Arya. This is like rule number 1 of making pie dough.
Hot Pie is like, your brother, Jon Snow, is king of the north.
What?
And Arya is like, he's alive? And he's like, your sister's alive too. And, well, they don't know the Bran's alive yet. And she gets out on her horse, and she gets to the crossroad at Crossroads End. One road goes to King's Landing, one road goes to Winterfell. And Arya decides that she's going home.
Good for her.
And so she starts traveling north.
Okay.
While camping in the north, things get really quiet all of a sudden, and she's surrounded by wolves. Mm-hmm. And she's like, oh, this is bad. Yeah. And then a giant dire wolf appears, and it is her wolf from season 1, Nymeria. And she's like, because remember that, so Sansa's was killed. Mm-hmm. So they're supposed to kill Nymeria because she's the one that attacked Joffrey, but she threw rocks at her until she ran away, and she just left her in the woods so she wouldn't die. Yeah. And so Arya begs her. She's like, I'm going home. Come with me. And Nymeria's like, nah, bro, I got my fucking wolf pack. Yeah.
I'm good here.
And Arya comes to the realization that neither of them are the same that they were when they were together, and that they both have their own thing to do now. And so that's, she accepts that, and now is kind of set in this desire to go back to Winterfell and reconnect with her family. So Daenerys decides to take Tyrion's advice. So this is the plan. Again, they're going to send
the Unsullied over to
Casterly Rock.
Take that over.
And then she sends Yara and Theon to go pick up. So with them in the ships is Ellaria and the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to go to Dorne to pick up all of their armies.
And then meet over at Casterly Rock.
No, they're not going to be at Casterly Rock.
King's Landing.
They're going to go pick them up, and they're going to ferry them to King's Landing. They're going to come back. The Dothraki are going to come this way, and they're going to surround King's Landing.
Okay.
And lay siege to it. On the evening of them leaving, because obviously Grey Worm has to go with these guys, he and Missandei express their love for one another.
Aww.
And they do it.
I thought he didn't have a dick.
He doesn't.
Okay.
But they find a way.
Life finds a way. In the immortal words of Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah. At least one of them orgasmed, I assume.
Okay.
It was
good for that.
Probably Missandei.
Yeah.
And so they consummate their relationship, and they're in love, and he's going off to war.
Good for them.
Okay.
He's probably going to die now. Notice you studiously didn't respond to that.
Oh, I was trying to figure out where the fuck I was.
Yeah, they just fucked. I think you're there.
Hold on a second. Because...
Oh, your page is out of order?
I don't think so. I'm just trying to figure out where the fuck this happens. I did these notes weeks ago when we were supposed to do it. And then... Oh, okay. This is coming. Okay. So, late in the night, their navy is going to Dorne.
Mm-hmm.
Yara and Ellaria Sand are like about to fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Like legit, they want to fuck. And they are ambushed by this giant navy.
That's not good.
That is led by Euron Greyjoy. Where the fuck did I put him?
He's right
Oh,
there.
there he is. So he cuts them off as they're on their way down. Kills 2 of the girls, leaves one of them, the pretty one in the middle.
Okay.
Captures Ellaria Sand, captures Yara, and in a moment of panic, because everything that Theon's been through, when given the chance to fight to free Yara, turns to the bow of the ship and jumps into the water. And I mean, that navy's gone. That entire part of Daenerys' fighting force is gone.
That's not good.
This was the precious gift that he wants to bring Cersei, is the woman that murdered her daughter. Because remember, she, with the poison on her lips.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
All right. Jon Snow and Davos arrive in King's Landing.
Dragonstone.
Dragonstone. Everyone's heard about Daenerys' dragons.
Mm-hmm.
Davos and Jon Snow and Missandei and Tyrion are walking up that long, windy path to Dragonstone.
Mm-hmm.
And a dragon flies overhead. And I shit you not, Jon and Davos dive for cover because it's the first time they've ever seen a dragon.
Understandably so.
And Tyrion and Missandei don't even react. They're like, "Oh, it's the fucking dragon." It's like,
dragon.
And Johnson's like, "Is that a dragon? What the fuck?" And they're like, "Oh, like you have no idea how weird shit has gone around here. Like you have no idea." So they bring them, Jon Snow and Davos, to the throne room at Dragonstone, and Daenerys is sitting up on her throne. And they walk in, and Missandei's like, "This is Daenerys Targaryen, first for her name, the Andals, the first man, the blah, 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 the breaker of chains, the mother of dragons, the Khaleesi of the Great Sea." And there's silence that lingers in the air, and then Davos is like, "This is Jon Snow, he's king in the north." And Daenerys is like, all right,
yeah, succinct. I
but
like it.
but really, let's talk about why we're here.
Yeah. Suck my dick.
Yeah. Long ago, your ancestor, whatever Stark, bent the knee to my ancestor, whatever fucking Targaryen. And are you here today to bend the knee, or are you going to break in that tradition?
Are you here to suck my dick or not?
And Jon Snow's like, okay, I'm not sure if we communicated this. There are fucking ice zombies on their way to kill every man, woman, and child. Everyone you know. Everyone on this fucking continent. Probably Essos as well at some point once they learn how to swim. We do not have time for this bullshit.
Yeah. Like, can you just give me the dragon glass? Because, like, I'll just take that and go, and we don't need to talk anymore.
And she's like, yeah, you can have it if you bend the knee. And he's like, I'm not doing this.
Bullshit.
He's like, no, I'm not doing this. There is an urgent message for Daenerys. And she's like, okay, we're putting a pin in this. You're not technically prisoners.
I'm not letting you off the hook here.
Yes.
You are going to suck my dick.
Yeah. But you go back to your room. And they're like, you can't send us to our room. And she's like, I'm the fucking queen. Go back to your room.
It's like, what are we, 5-year-olds?
So she gets notification that her entire navy is gone.
Oh.
Yeah. And
just looks down at her phone. Your entire navy's gone.
Yeah.
Fuck!
Yeah, god damn it. Yeah. So Euron returns to King's Landing on a horse pulling Ilaria Sand behind her with a rope. Delivers her to Cersei. Cersei is thrilled and takes Ilaria Sand and her daughter down to the dungeons, chains them to the wall so that they can almost touch each other but can't. Kisses Ilaria's daughter. It's revealed that she has the poison on her lips, takes the antidote, and says, you're going to sit down here and watch your daughter die and watch her decay and rot. And then after that, maybe I'll kill you. And then just leaves her down there.
Damn.
And then we find out later, we might as well get them off because I don't want this software to freak out. They end up dying off screen.
Okay. Well, there they go.
Yep. All right. So Cersei has her revenge. So Euron's...
She's pretty good at revenge.
Yeah. So Euron's like, so we do the fucky now.
Yeah.
And she's like, we'll do the fucky after the war is over. And he's like, oh, I don't love that so much.
That wasn't the deal.
The entire time, by the way, he is mocking Jaime relentlessly, right? And like at one point, he's like, so, I'm gonna fuck your sister.
Does she do anal?
Yeah. Does she can I borrow the hand? The golden hand? Like, do you do things with the golden hand?
Yeah.
And can I borrow it?
Yeah.
And he's just like, oh my fucking god, I may kill this man. Later on, fucking Cersei and Jaime have sex for the first time in months because their fucking kid died. Things have been very bad. And Cersei has become so emboldened and so brazen with her status that, like, after they're done, servants walk in and Jaime's just in her bed, fucking naked with a blanket, and he's like freaked. He's like, "Oh fuck!" And she's like, "No, we don't do that anymore. I don't give a fuck who knows." Yeah. And so, like, now everyone just fucking knows. Jaime and Cersei, they're fucking sister fuckers. Yeah. So turns out that Sansa is doing quite well in Winterfell as a ruler. She's very competent.
Okay, good for her.
And like the whole way, Littlefinger is like, "You're so good at this. You're better than Jon is."
Wait, shit, that's Brienne. I gotta go.
Yeah. And he gives her this life lesson, and he's like, "This is how I do all this thing in my head. I play out every eventuality in my head simultaneously, all at the same time. Everything I can think of, the worst possible thing, the best possible thing, and I prepare for everything. And that's what you need to start doing." And their conversation is cut short because there is someone at the gates.
Oh.
And it's Bran. And what's her name?
Yeah.
No one knows, by the way, that Bran is alive.
Oh, that's exciting. This will be a happy little reunion.
Yeah. Because he's been fucking around with the the Three-Eyed Raven for like 4
like,
seasons or something. Yeah. Sansa is beside herself. She can't believe it, but she notices that like something is really crazy off with him. Like he's like a shell of a person. He doesn't react to anything really. He's kind of monotone when he talks, and he keeps saying like, I'm not Bran, I'm the Three-Eyed Raven. She's like, I don't know what the fuck that means. Ravens don't have 3 eyes, you stupid fuck. Go back to where you came from. I don't get this. And so she's like kind of worried about him. He has a conversation with Littlefinger, and Littlefinger gives him the cat's paw dagger. And he's like, isn't it crazy that like 6 seasons ago, a man came into your room trying to murder you, and it started a whole fucking war. Isn't that fucking crazy? And Bran's like, I guess. And he gives him the dagger. He gives Bran the dagger. He's like, you should have this. And Littlefinger kind of monologues a little bit more, because he doesn't realize what Bran is or what his abilities are. He just thinks he's just a weird, crippled kid. Yeah. And he says something and mentions the word chaos. And Bran immediately cuts in and says, chaos is a ladder. And Littlefinger fucking looks like he's seen a ghost, because in season 1, there's a conversation between Littlefinger and Varys where Littlefinger tells him that chaos is a ladder. And the problem with this is that no one else was in the room. And he is like,
what?
Okay, well, I'm going to go.
I think I see Brienne over there.
Yeah,
this way.
So he doesn't understand how Bran knows what he knows, but he's like, have fun with the dagger.
Yeah,
I'll see you later.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Bye.
All right. So Tyrion and Jon Snow have a conversation. And he's like, look, the last time we spoke was up at the walls, and we were making fun of the White Walkers and how they were fairy tales and shit. And he's like, no, I've seen them. And he's like, have you ever known me to tell a fucking lie? I'm a Stark. And he's like,
fair enough.
All right, I fucking believe you. It doesn't matter because
you still need to suck Daenerys' dick.
Yeah, because there's a whole war happening here too. Yeah. Like shit is like all over the place is falling apart. And even if you want her help, she's not going to do it unless you bend the knee. And he's like, sorry, I'm the king of the North. I'm not doing that. And he's like, okay, I'm going to talk to Daenerys. And Jon's like, can you at least like just let us mine the Dragonstone? Yeah. Or the Dragonglass. And so Tyrion talks to Daenerys and convinces her. And so they have guys that start to mine the Dragonglass. Daenerys and Jon talk up on the one of the cliffs on Dragonstone and find out that they have a little bit more in common with their shared experiences. And Daenerys doesn't love that he's not bending the knee, but she's like, you will eventually. Yes. But for right now,
you can pretend to be independent. Yeah. That's fine.
All right. So having cured Jorah's grayscale
by cutting away a bunch of his skin.
Yes. Gets in trouble.
Of course.
Because they're like, okay,
we told you not to do this, you dumb motherfucker.
He's like, I get that you're able to do it, but what was likely to happen, and the fact that you don't understand this, it was likely you were going to get infected, and in fact, the entire Citadel, the collection of all the knowledge in this world, fucking gone.
Yeah.
Because of you. So you are going to be punished. You have to transcribe all these old manuscripts and shit. And Sam's like, fine. So the Unsullied make their way across the continent
to Casterly Rock. They get there, and they know that if they attack Casterly Rock head on, they'll take a lot of losses, and it won't be good. Thankfully, Casterly Rock, when it was under the rule of Tywin Lannister, Tywin gave the responsibility of overhauling the sewage system to Tyrion, who built in a secret passageway for him to sneak his horse into Casterly Rock.
That seems like a Tyrion thing
Yeah.
to do.
And so Tyrion's like, so there's just a fucking door down
Yeah,
there.
just fucking
No
go
one
down
knows
there.
about it.
Yeah.
You go down to the water, you go in. And so they all go down there. They are able to sneak into Casterly Rock,
Undetected.
and discover, like, they kill some guards, but they discover that there are no Lannisters there. And they look out on the sea, which, by the way, I think, okay, this is one of those things where in these seasons, how everyone moves around becomes yada yada.
Timey-wimey.
Yeah, but also, like, some details they don't ever explain. Like, they say that they're going to march across, but apparently they have ships in the bay, the Unsullied do.
Okay.
And they look out and see that Euron Greyjoy has pinned them in. And they can't leave, and there's no food in the keeps.
That's not good.
So now they have to retreat, and so this is another devastating loss for Daenerys' plan. She hasn't lost a bunch of people, but this is terrible. That she's wasted a bunch of resources on this. And so there's that whole thing. Now, the reason there are no Lannisters here is because Jaime has taken the Lannister army south to Highgarden, which is where Olenna Tyrell returned after she gave her advice to Daenerys, and to wait for instruction on what to do next. Attacks Highgarden, kills all of their men, like the future of their house. Because Highgarden famously has shit tons of gold and food and shit.
Yeah.
Because the Lannisters are severely in debt to the Iron Bank of Bravos.
Kind of need to pay that back.
And because they're in a war, and the Iron Bank of Bravos, right now, as things are, with them being so indebted, are just as likely to back Daenerys. Because why wouldn't they? Because that's how they get their money back.
Mm-hmm.
So he attacks Highgarden and goes up to to Olenna's room, and is like, I killed all your guys. This is done. And she's like, Cersei told you to execute me, didn't she? And she's like, yeah, I'm supposed to. And and she's like, well, how are you going to do it? And he's like, well, as it turns out, I kind of like you old miserable bitch. So I convinced Cersei to let you drink this poison. And he puts a little vial on the table, and or he pours it in her wine, and she's like, "Is there going to be any pain?" He's like, "No, it's famously a very a very gentle poison." And she grabs that fucking wine glass and downs it. Fucking wipes her mouth off, puts the glass down, and she's like, "This is the thing about poisons, is that you never really know what they do until you've seen them work on someone. And this was the problem when your son Joffrey died, is that I had never seen the poison work before and didn't know that it was going to create that effect with him. Just to lay there gasping for air in his mother's arms, turning purple. What terrible feeling that must have been for his father and the Lord Commander of the Kingsguard." And Jaime is just like, "It was you?" And she's like, "Yeah. And fucking tell Cersei I want her to know it was me." And that's how the scene ends. And you're like,
Jesus Christ.
This woman, by the way, she didn't give a fuck she was about to die.
She has the biggest balls in Westeros.
And there goes Olenna Tyrell.
God.
The
goes out like a boss.
Yes, the Tyrell family is gone now.
Yes.
They're no more.
They're done.
Yeah.
But if you have to go,
yeah, it was fucking epic. That scene is so, and even still it's a meme. All right, so they send all the gold ahead. to King's Landing. And
You gotta pay that debt.
yes, and then some of the army stays behind because there are provisions and wheat and shit that they're going to bring to King's Landing as well, because if Daenerys is going to come over and lay siege, that would give them an edge if they can kind of stick it out for a while.
Yeah.
So they send the gold ahead, and it gets to King's Landing, and they give it to the Iron Baker Bravos. And fucking Jaime is here, Bronn's here. The Tyrells helped with the attack on Highgarden, or the Tarleys helped, so they're there. And they've had a good battle, and everyone's having a good time. Mm-hmm. And they're marching with the hay and shit, and the wheat and shit. And they've taken a little break, and they are basically, their job is to
just escort everything back.
Okay. Now, in the north, Sansa Stark has returned home. Now, she gets stopped at the gate by two Stark guys. Mm-hmm. One of them, now famously, he played Eddie in Stranger Things. He was in the, what is that? The John Krasinski movie with the aliens that hear sound.
Quiet Place?
Yes, he was in Quiet Place 3. He's the new Johnny Storm in the new Fantastic Four movie. Before I think he was anything else, he was in this role. These two fucking guards stop her, and she's like, "I'm Arya Stark. If you don't believe me, go get Maester Luwin." And they're like, "Who the fuck is Maester Luwin?" Because he's been dead forever. Yeah. Like, she hasn't been home in so long. And she's like, "Well, go tell fucking Sansa Stark that I'm here." And they're like, "We're not bothering Sansa with this bullshit. Fuck off. Get out of here, you little kid." And she's like, "Listen, they're going to find out that you turned Arya Stark away, and you guys are going to get in a lot of trouble." And so they're like, "Okay, fucking come in here. You sit down right here. We're going to figure out how to deal with this. You're probably going to go to jail or something." Mm-hmm. And they turn to talk to each other, and they look back, and Arya's just gone, right?
She pulls a Batman.
Yeah, just like within a fraction of a second, she's just like, she's not there anymore. They go and tell Sansa. They're like, "We're so sorry. It was this weird girl. She said she was your sister." And Sansa's like, "What?" And we don't know where the fuck she is, but we'll find her. Like, it's not a big of a deal. And she's like, "Don't bother. I know where she is." And she goes down to the Stark family crypt and finds Arya in front of the statue of their father. And they have not seen each other. They rode down south together to King's Landing with their father. When he died, Arya was escaped. That's the last time she saw her, fucking years ago. And they kind of commiserate that they've both been through a lot of really terrible shit. But they hug, and they're very happy to see each other. And Sansa's like, "Fucking Bran's alive." And Arya's like, "What are you talking about?" So they go and see Bran, who is just hanging out in the Godswood now, being fucking him.
Yeah.
And they bring him before Bran, and Bran looks at Arya, and he's like, I wasn't sure you were going to come north. I saw you at the crossing." And Arya's like, "The fuck are you talking about? You saw me at the crossing." And he's like, "You were going to go south and kill the queen." And Sansa's like, "You're gonna do what now?" Huh? And Bran's like, "Yeah, he's Cersei's on her name of lists." And Arya's like, "Yeah, list of names." Arya's like, "How do you know about that?" First of all, and then Sansa's like, "What is this list of names? What the fuck are you talking about?"
Like, it's just people I'm gonna kill. It's fine. Don't worry about it. You're not on it.
And I like how Arya's like leans to Sansa, and she's like, "The fuck is wrong with him?" And she's like, "He has powers. I don't know. It's weird." So
he knows things.
In a pivotal moment that you don't understand the first time watching it, Bran pulls out the cat's paw dagger and like looks at it in his hand, and then tells Arya this dagger was meant to kill me. It's like Valyrian steel and shit. It's really nice. You should have it. It'd be wasted on a cripple. And he holds it out, and you can see like there's a cog that's turning in his head, and she takes it, and he lets go of it, and he's got this look on his face like, well, that part's done. And you're just like, the fuck is wrong?
Check that off the list.
Yeah, and it's like, what the fuck are you doing? So all the Stark kids, except for Jon, who was fucking on Dragonstone, they're all the ones that are alive are together again, right? Which is really great. While they're mining the dragon glass, by the way, they find cave paintings of this fight that apparently the children of the forest and the first men had with the White Walkers.
Intriguing. And
so he brings Daenerys in and shows her, and he's like, see, a long time ago, everyone had to band together to fight off this threat. Like, we're going to have to do it now. And she's like, great.
You going to suck my dick?
She's like, I'm game. Bend the knee. Bend the knee, I'll fucking do it. Yeah. And he's like,
suck my dick.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Like, with this sucking dick thing. Like, no, I can't do it. And so she's like, well, I'm very sorry. And so her assistant runs up with a fucking note. Mm-hmm. And she discovers that so these guys failed, mm-hmm. and they have to march back, and all of her allies are dead. Mm-hmm. I guess he's up here. She's up here. And they've marched on Highgarden and killed Olenna Tyrell, her other ally, and they raided all their gold and food and shit. And so
she's
Daenerys,
like, well, shit, guess I gotta do this myself.
Daenerys fucking eye twitches. Yeah, and she goes out on the beach, and she's like walking toward her dragon, and Tyrion's like trying to talk her down. He's like, I don't know what the fuck you're planning on doing, but like, you can't go risk yourself. And she's like, well, I'm not doing nothing anymore. Fuck off. And that's how that episode, or that's how that part of the episode ends. There's this really great sparring match now in Winterfell, where Arya meets Brienne.
I'm sure they get along well.
Yeah, and Brienne is giving Podrick a sword lesson. Mm-hmm. And Arya's watching, and she's like, you are a really good fighter. And Brienne's like, well, thank you. And she's like, I need someone really good to train with. And she's like, oh, you need the master at arms. Yeah. Like, it's like, I don't do beginning sword lessons. And she's like,
I'm not a beginner.
She's like, let's fight. And she pulls out needle, mm-hmm. and she's like, that sword's way too small. Like, look at this big fucking sword I have. Like, yeah. And she's like, are you gonna swing at me or not, motherfucker? And so she's like,
all right,
okay,
I guess we're doing this.
Takes a few swings. Arya easily evades everything, and like her first little bout finished. Brienne's like, what the fuck just happened? And Podrick is like, oh my god, I think I just came. And they fight, and like Arya not only is able to evade everything, but then goes on this blistering attack and like puts her on the defensive and shit. Brienne kicks her in the chest, and she like gets up and does like the ninja flip kick thing, yep. And like lands on her feet and like does the sword thing. And Brienne's like, I would like for you not to kill me.
Can we just chill for a second here?
Up on the fucking balcony, Littlefinger is watching. Littlefinger and Sansa are both watching, and Sansa's like, what the fuck happened to Arya? Like, why is she good at sword fighting now?
How can she do all this shit?
And then Littlefinger is like, oh, she's way more dangerous than I thought she was. Like, holy shit. All right. So Jaime and the boys are on their way back to King's Landing.
They're having a grand old time, just marching the wagons up, and
they've taken a little break.
I think you've shown me this scene, actually.
I've shown you this whole episode. And they're all hanging out. Mm-hmm. They're all having jokes at Dickon and his stupid fucking name and shit. And as they're all just hanging around, the ground starts to tremble.
Oh.
And they're like, what the fuck is that? And like Jaime starts calling everyone to arms, and Bronn is like it hits him first. He's like, oh, we're about to get fucked. And they look out, and running toward them across this field is this giant Dothraki horde. which no one has ever fought before.
Yeah.
And so Jaime's like, okay, they look a little crazy, but like we're good soldiers. Like, you know, we just had a great fight and shit. Like, we can do this. And then out of the clouds flies a fucking dragon with Daenerys riding on top of him. And Jaime is like,
okay, maybe we can't do this.
Is that a fucking dragon? Are you shitting me right now?
Come on, man. This isn't fair.
So they try to form their lines. The Dothraki cut right through them. Because they don't give a fuck about anything.
Yeah.
Like, the best way that a Dothraki could die is jumping off his horse past an enemy line and taking a couple of them. Like, that would be the highlight of his fucking life.
Yeah.
And there are like thousands of them, right? And they like all these proper Westerosi gentlemen don't know how to fight against that. Add on top of that a giant fucking dragon pulls up and starts torturing their whole fucking army. And it so quickly devolves into this horrific scene of carnage. Carts are exploding. Like, Drogon will make a pass and will like lay fire on this line of soldiers, and all that's left of them is just dust. And Jaime is looking around like,
what the fuck?
Oh my god. So, Bronn, it turns out that the army is carrying a scorpion with them, one of those big ballista things.
Yeah.
And so he's able to get it out of the cart and shit. He shoots one at Drogon and it misses, right? And then like Daenerys is like this giant fucking spear. She's like, what the fuck was that?
Excuse me?
Yeah.
Did you just shoot at my dragon?
Yeah. And so she like comes about and he shoots a bolt and it hits Drogon right in the shoulder. And it
You motherfucker.
Yeah. It puts him down. Like, it doesn't kill him, but he has to land, right? Because it like so badly hurt him.
Yeah.
And he lands right in front of this fucking cart with a ballista, and then is like, fuck you, and just torches it, and then swings around with his tail and just fucking demolishes it. And he's like, fuck that guy.
Piece of shit.
Bronn is barely able to escape. The Dickon and his dad are captured on a nearby hilltop. Tyrion and the Dothraki commander watch. And Tyrion has to watch legions of Lannister men just getting burnt to a crisp. And it's a test to his loyalty, but also like he's like, this is what it is. This is war. And so Drogon has landed by the water, has this giant spear sticking out of his shoulder. Daenerys is like trying to pull it out, and he's like, ow, stop it, Mom, stop.
Ow, stop it.
Fucking Jaime looks over and just sees Daenerys over on the beach and like trying to like fuck with her dragon and shit. No one's paying her any attention. She's not paying anyone else attention. And he's like, this is my fucking moment. And he picks up a spear and he gets up on a horse and he runs at Daenerys fucking full charge. And the way this shot is so beautiful because it switches to his POV and it's fucking Daenerys like yanking on, and she like looks and is like, what the fuck is that? And then out of frame, a giant dragon head just fucking appears and like just shoots flames at him. And Bronn is able, just at the last minute, is able to jump and grab him and like jump into the water. Watching this the first time, they leave it a little unclear about whether or not Jaime is going to live or not. He lives.
Yeah.
Because Bronn rescues him. And they're like, okay, we have to get back to King's Landing because we may have somehow underestimated how powerful the dragons are. Because
we may have miscalculated the situation a little bit.
So he like sneaks away with Bronn. And she's got, this is Samwell's father and his brother and a bunch of the other soldiers. And she's like, all right, here's the deal. You join me, you build a better world, or you die screaming in flames. What it'll be. Like, bend the knee or die. A bunch of them bend the knee. Of course, fucking Randall Tarly and his son don't.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like,
okay, you had your chance.
Yep, see you later. And she orders Drogon to execute them, and he does. Kills Samwell's father and his brother. His father he hates, his brother he loves very much.
Oh.
Yeah. His brother was always very kind to him. And Daenerys is like...
Dickon.
Yeah, and so Daenerys is like, yeah,
all right.
Who's winning the fucking war now, bitches? And she goes back home. I don't know how they get everyone back. They can't fit all the Dothraki on Drogon, I don't think. But
he brought a bag of holding.
Yep. By the way, Tyrion tries to talk her out of executing these guys, and she's like, no. Today's not the day I'm the nice bitch. Today is the day I'm the mean bitch.
They shot my motherfucking dragon.
Yeah. So Jaime gets home to King's Landing, still covered in ash and soot. His face is still black. His hair is all...
Yeah.
He, like, busts into their bedroom, and it was like, she has fucking dragons. And she's like, we know. And she's like... He's no. You don't get it.
She has fucking dragons.
Yeah, you don't get it. We just fought them. Let me just... Before I even tell you about the dragons, the Dothraki are unbeatable in the field. We don't know how to fight against that kind of like raw craziness. And just they would have beat us on their own. Now, I didn't say that she brought all of her dragons. She brought one of her dragons and destroyed our whole fucking army. Like, we are fucked. And Daenerys is like, oh, I don't know what you think about that right now.
Cersei.
Oh yeah, Cersei. I'm pregnant. And he's like, oh, well, that's great. That's good for us.
I think you're burying the lead here, however.
Yeah.
She has 3 goddamn dragons.
Yeah. But he's really you know, like, you know, he's really happy about it. By the way, and we're not going to spend a lot of time on it. Bronn smuggles Tyrion into King's Landing to meet secretly with Jaime, who, by the way, vowed that the next time he saw Tyrion, he'd cut him in half for killing their father. And Tyrion's like, you saw what we did.
Kind of need you to surrender so she doesn't do that to anyone else.
That's not his thing. He was like, I had this conversation with Jon Snow. I think there are zombies. I know it sounds fucking crazy.
It's nuts, but he was really fucking sure, and I don't think he's ever told a lie in his entire fucking life.
Right. Is there a way that we
just like call a timeout here and deal with the zombies, and then maybe we resolve this whole who should be in charge of Westeros thing?
Yeah. And he's also like, they're coming up with this weird plan. They're going to go north and capture a white, like a zombie, to bring back and prove what's happening. If that happens, can we meet like an armistice? And Jaime's like, I don't know, man.
Cersei's in charge. You'd have to ask her.
But also, like, you really could just roll in here and kill all of us. So I'll give it a shot. Like,
yeah.
So on Dragonstone, Daenerys and Jon are kind of flirting a little bit, and Jon just walks up to Drogon, and Daenerys is like, "Oh, don't do that! Don't do that!"
No.
And he just ignores her and walks up, and fucking Drogon puts his head down and lets Jon touch him.
Aww.
And Daenerys is like, "Hold on a second.
Wait a minute.
That does not make sense because Targaryens are the only ones that are supposed to be able to touch dragons."
Well, Daenerys, if you had watched
House of the
Dragon Season 2, you would know that that's not technically true. You don't need to be a full-blood... I'm going to stop talking now.
So
adjusts glasses.
Daenerys and Jon get a raven from Bran, who has been looking in the God's Eye. And it was like, the Night King and his army are marching toward Eastwatch by the Sea. But they're like, but there's the wall. Yeah. Like... That's not terrible.
It'll be fine.
We have time. Like
the walls up. Yeah.
All right. So there are tensions in the north because Littlefinger, pretty much. He's just such a bastard.
He's just such a dick.
Now that Jon's been away for a while, there are some looking at you, whatever the fuck your name is, who are like, you know what, we came up here for Sansa Stark, not for Jon Snow. And like that whole thing is starting to brew a little bit, and Arya is immediately suspicious of Sansa. And she's like, is this you now? Like you turning against our brother and shit?
Yeah.
And Littlefinger is able to manipulate events to cause a rift between Sansa and Arya, and is able to manipulate Arya into finding the letter that Cersei made Sansa write in season 1, telling Robb to surrender. Our father's a traitor, like bring honor back to our house's name and surrender and come and bend the knee to Joffrey. Found a copy of that letter and made sure that Arya was able to find it. And Arya confronts her about it. Which, by the way, first of all, like Sansa breaks into Arya's room and starts like looking around, and then finds her bag of faces. It's like, oh god, what the fuck? Like she opens it, like Walder Frey's face falls out. She's like, oh no,
what the fuck?
And so Arya confronts her, and like she's like, I was a little girl. I didn't know what was going to happen, and she was like, you were stupid, and I could have been any age, and I would have died before I betrayed my family like this. Fucking Littlefinger on the other side of the wall, like, oh good, this is it. This is exactly what I need, because he needs Sansa to be isolated from everyone she trusts, right? So at the Citadel, Sam is getting real pissed off. He's just like
transcribing books and shit.
He's on his way back to Daenerys, by the way.
Good for Jorah.
So he's taught Gilly to read, by the way.
Huh. That's good.
And he's like transcribing shit. And Gilly, who knows how to read, now reads everything, because that's what she does. What you do when you newly learn how to read. And she finds this old book and was like, "What is an annulment?" And Sam's like, "It's an annulment. It's when
you get a marriage undone."
Yeah, it's when you set aside your lawful wife and you go and marry someone else." And she's like, "Oh, well, I guess there was some maester somewhere. There was an annulment. He set his wife aside." But Sam is so fed up with how pissed off he is about all this that he's not even listening to her. He doesn't even he hears it, but he's not understanding. And Sam makes a decision, and he's like, "I'm not doing any fucking good here." He goes into the forbidden section with a bag, starts tipping shit in. They get on the cart, and he's like, "Fuck it, we're going back to Winterfell." And so he gets on the road to Winterfell.
Book criminal.
Yeah, he's got the sword he stole from his father, the Valyrian steel sword that he stole from his father. He's like, "Fuck being a maester, I'm dropping out. Let's go fight the fucking ice zombies." So, all right, here is this brilliant plan that Jon has thought up.
Okay.
They are going to go north of the wall, find the army of the dead, capture one of them, bring them south of the wall,
hope that somehow the magic that is holding this wall together doesn't destroy it or something, bring it to Cersei to prove that the zombies are real, so that the realms of men can all band together and fight, and then whoever's surviving past that can fight each other, right?
This sounds insanely dangerous and just generally stupid.
Yes. Yeah. No. That's it. Yeah. But Daenerys is like, whatever the fuck ever. I tell you no, but whatever the fuck. Like that's fine.
I legally cannot stop you because you refuse to suck my dick.
Yeah.
So.
Also, you're a grown man. Like, you don't need my permission.
Yeah.
As Jon is preparing to leave, Jorah Mormont shows back up.
Hey, Jorah.
And there is this heartwarming reunion, because Jorah was always faithful to her.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this whole thing with him being a spy for a little bit before he was loyal to her. And she turned him away like 3 times, and he was trying so hard to fight for her like attention and shit. And then he saved her life in the fighting pits of Meereen, but he had grayscale and shit, and he's able to return having made good on the order to find a cure. And so he's like, I'm here. I'm your guy. And she's so happy to have him back. And he's like, oh, I'm going with them north, by the way. And she's like, oh, fucking course you are.
Fucking hell.
Men.
This fucking guy.
Yeah, all these fucking guys. You got to go up and swing your dicks around and shit. So it's going to be like Jon and Jorah, and Davos is going to like right up there, but he's not going to go. Actually, he's like, that's stupid. Yeah. So I'm going to stay at the wall. You guys do your shit, and then that'll be fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the they're going to go pick up some guys.
That's the grand plan.
Yeah. So they march north to the wall, or as my favorite Game of Thrones content creator likes to call it, the Walrus.
Okay.
Now, or they're I think it's Eastwatch by the Sea is where they end up, because I don't think they go to Castle Black. So they find there Tormund Giantsbane. I don't think he's on here. I'm going to take him off. Where would he's going to be in the Free Folk, right?
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, Tormund. Who's thrilled to go on an adventure like that. By the way, I mentioned that when Davos smuggled Tyrion in to meet with Jaime, while they're doing their meeting, Davos goes to find someone of his own to bring into the fight, which was the is he in? I'm just now realizing I might have put him in the random folder because he's like he's a bastard. Oh god, there's so many faces in here. Look for a shirtless guy.
What's his name?
What is his name?
You're the expert here. I don't fucking know.
Gendry.
He would be up
with a G.
I don't think he's in here. Is that him in the first row, third picture?
Yes.
Yep. Oh, there he is.
So, turns out that Gendry has been making armor in King's Landing this entire time.
Huh. Okay.
Unaware of everything happening, when he meets him in King's Landing, takes no convincing to come with him.
Absolutely.
He's like,
let's fucking go.
I've got a crazy fucking mission. It's okay if you say no. He's like, I'm good. Let's go.
No, I'm in.
So they all meet up here at Eastwatch by the Sea. Tormund Giantsbane's like, we have 3 guys in our jail cells. They were trying to sneak past the castle to get to go north. Mm-hmm. And they're like, well, who do you have up there? And they're like, well, it's Beric Dondarrion, Thoros of Myr, and the Mountain.
The Hound.
Or yeah, the Hound. They're all in jail up here. And so John's like, we're going north of the wall. You want to go?
We're going to capture away. You want to come
with us? And they're like,
absolutely.
Let's go.
Let's fucking go.
Yeah. And so they set out. Yeah. I think he probably stays here, I think. Okay. So they get out past the wall. Most of this is a walk and talk. Mm-hmm. At one point, they're attacked by a zombie polar bear.
Fucking Aaron Sorkin, eat your heart out.
Yeah, there's lots of. Let's see. Jon talks to Jorah, because remember that J.R. Mormont gave him their family sword, and he's like, you can have it back if you want, but he's like, my father loved you, like you should have it. And it's a lot of that kind of shit, right?
Also, they bond over Lady Mormont being a fucking badass.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
what is she, like your niece or something? She got giant fucking balls.
He's like,
yeah.
She scares me. So, they at one point they get attacked by a zombie polar bear, and Thoros of Myr is pretty badly wounded.
Poor guy. But
he just drinks a lot, so he doesn't really feel it.
Yeah.
Back at Dragonstone, let's see. Tyrion starts to talk to Daenerys about the future, and he's like, look, you can't have kids. We need to figure out succession. And it kind of triggers Daenerys a little bit. She's like, "Fuck you, we'll figure this out when the war's done. Like, why are you bringing this up now? Like, are you gonna do a traitor thing, or what are you gonna do?" So they find a White Walker patrol north of the wall, and they attack it. They like put a little ambush. It's like a little squad. It isn't like the whole army. And remember that there are White Walkers who are like the general dudes, and then there are Whites who are just the mindless zombies. Yeah. So they get up there, they fight. One of them takes a swing at the White Walker and kills him, and then when he kills him, all but one of the Whites all die too. Huh. And they're like,
interesting.
Oh, well, okay. Well, that's some new information.
I guess that's how they work.
And they grab the one White that didn't die, and before they can cover his mouth, he screams for help, like a supernatural zombie scream or whatever the fuck. And they realize that the entire army of the dead is sprinting toward them now.
That's not good.
So they send Gendry, because he's skinny and can run fast, back to Eastwatch, and Jon tells him, send a raven to Daenerys, we're gonna get fucked. And so he runs down to Eastwatch. All these guys here, I'm gonna put him out of the way. All these guys here go out onto a frozen lake, where the ice is very thin, into the center onto a rock. But then, like, for some reason, the zombie boys are afraid of water, so they can't, like one of them tries to step out and the ice breaks, and so they all just line up and stare at him, and like overnight, like they stay out on this rock in the middle of this fucking lake overnight. The next morning they find out that Theros of Myr has died from his injuries, and this is a huge deal because Theros is the guy that kept bringing Beric Dondarrion back from the dead.
So he is on his last life.
He's on his last life, right. And so the next morning, they're still there. Fucking Army of the Dead still there. The Hound gets real impatient and takes a rock and throws it at one of the fucking Whites, and it like breaks his jaw off. But then the rock like bounces off of him and skitters back across the lake, revealing that the water is all frozen now.
Oh, that's not good.
And so the Whites are like, oh, okay.
All right.
And so they just start marching toward them. And so they start fighting. And the little plan they had while everything was still frozen, or not frozen, was, okay, let's think of the logic of this. If we kill one White Walker and it kills a bunch of them, if we kill that guy and they point to the Night King who's just up on a hill somewhere, we kill everyone, right? And they're like, yes. And they're like,
sense, yeah.
Let's go get that fucking guy. Yeah. But there's still an entire army there, right? So they start fighting. A bunch of red shirts die. Things are looking very bad. And then all of a sudden fire erupts. And it's Daenerys, who, by the way, Tyrion tried to convince her to not go and just to let Jon die. And Daenerys, this time with all three of her dragons, is north of the wall. The first time ever, by the way, that a dragon has ever been north of the wall.
Yeah, because dragons don't like it up there.
No. They are fucking, like, they do so much damage. It's insane. The entire time this is happening, the Night King does not react. In fact, he looks rather pleased. And he reaches down on his horse and grabs this giant fucking ice spear, chucks it at Rhaegal, and it hits, or not Rhaegal, Viserion. Sorry, this is Rhaegal, Green Boy. This is Viserion. And hits him in the neck and fucking kills him.
Aww.
And so the dragon fucking falls through the lake. Remember, these dragons are her children, and like seeing one of them die like that really, like, it hits her really hard. But they're able to get all the survivors loaded up on the dragons. But Jon sacrifices himself so that they can escape. And Daenerys is like, motherfucker, you're the whole reason I came down here. And he's like, sorry. And so she's like, fuck you. And she just flies out, right?
Fuck you, I'm leaving.
So now, Jon faces the entire army of the dead. And right before they're upon him, a figure shows up.
Well, now, who could that be?
I'm trying to find him. Oh, he's not in this folder because he's a brother of the Night's Watch.
Oh.
Where's my Night's Watch?
I don't think you have one.
I don't have a Night's... Maybe they're random? It's Benjen.
Huh.
Fucking that one guy that hasn't been around since forever.
What would it be?
It should be in the Starks.
He's not.
I wonder if...
Nope.
That's fine. We'll just remember what he played or what he looked like. I'm gonna make sure it's not in the Stark folder. It does not make sense to me. So that's Sansa, that's Robb, that's Osha, that's Lewin. These guys aren't even Starks. That's Catelyn, Hodor, that's Lil Bran, Theon, Lil Jon, Big Bran. Oh, he's dead though.
No.
Arya. Yeah, I guess he's not. Okay, that's
okay.
fine. That's fine. So Benjen, who is now this like half zombie, half dude, sacrifices himself to save Jon. And so Jon escapes, makes it to Eastwatch by the Sea, collapses.
Blech.
As Daenerys is sitting there waiting, by the way. And so they all get on the boat to go back to Dragonstone.
Why ain't we playing Battlefront 2? Because we're not.
Not tonight. Where's tomorrow? Well, so tomorrow's Gungans
Sunday.
and Dragons.
Yeah.
But I'll be playing throughout the week, though.
Just come back Monday.
Yeah. So let's see. As he's healing, he's damn near dead, right? Yeah. He's recuperating, and she comes to visit him in where he's healing, and he calls her my queen. And bends the knee. Doesn't really because he can't get up.
Yeah.
And
sucks her dick.
And then Daenerys also says, "We are gonna kill that motherfucker, the Night King. If it's the last fucking thing I do, we're gonna kill that motherfucker." North of the Wall, after everyone's escaped, they pull Viserion's body out of the water. The Whites do, and the Night King turns him into a zombie dragon.
That's not good.
Yep. So they've got their white. They got him in a little box. And so it's meeting time now. And so everyone comes to King's Landing. It's fucking this guy. Pretty much everyone. Tyrion's in there. The dragons aren't there. Jon Snow.
The dragons arriving would be a declaration of war, even more so than they already have.
Tyrion, Missandei's there. All these motherfuckers here go to King's Landing. And they all meet in the Dragon Pit, which is in ruins now. But you might remember that from House of the Dragon. Cersei shows up on time, punctual, looking fucking great, sits down where she's supposed to sit. Tyrion, who, by the way, there's a lot of tension between Cersei and Tyrion. Their whole entourage shows up, but Daenerys isn't there. They sit down where they're supposed to be. And Cersei's like, well, I'm here on time. Where the fuck is your dragon queen? And they hear a screech. And they look up, and it's Drogon, who has landed on the dragon pit and reveals Daenerys on his back. And she gets off and walks over to her seat. Doesn't say a fucking word. Just walks over, sits down, and out of the corner, she's like, yeah, it's a fucking dragon, dude. And I've got 2 more of them. Well, actually 1 more.
But you don't know.
Yeah. And so they... This episode has a bunch of reunions that are actually really fun, but we don't have time to go through all of them. So fucking the mountain is guarding Cersei, and fucking Sandor Clegane sees him and just walks right up to him, and like everyone's watching, like, are they about to fight? And Sandor says, I'm coming for you. I've always been coming for you, so fucking watch your back. And then like walks off, and everyone's like, is that what we're here to discuss? Like this fight, like what is happening?
Yeah.
So they open up the proceedings, and they give their little speech. There's a threat that no one knows about coming to, and we brought proof.
Yep.
Euron Greyjoy's here, by the way, too.
Ah, good for him.
Yeah. And so Sandor carries out the fucking box on his back, sets it down, opens it, and this white flies out of it straight towards Cersei. Like fucking crazy and zombie shit. And he's chained to the box so he can't like reach her. Mm-hmm. And everyone just shits their pants.
Is that a fucking zombie?
Because everyone's been talking about White Walkers, these fucking fairy tale characters that don't exist and shit. And here's one, just a fucking dead guy.
Yeah.
Right? And they're like, this is what, like, we know that we can kill him with dragon glass, and we can
kill him with fire.
And that's all we know. And that, like, they cut his arm off, and like his arm's like trying to crawl toward the queen and shit. Which, by the way, Qyburn walks over and picks it up and like starts looking at it like, you guys gonna keep this? Gonna have this hand? So they're like, all right, Cersei, you've seen the proof. Before this happens, before she can say anything, Euron Greyjoy stands up. It's like, can they swim? And they're like, no, we know for a fact they can't swim. And he's like,
yes,
all right,
interesting, good to know.
Well, I'm getting back on my boat, and I'm going to Iron Islands, where there's lots of water around all of us. You guys have fun with your little zombie war. And
we'll be over here.
Yeah, and then, but have fun. See you. And he fucking leaves the meeting. And they're like, okay.
I don't think he's ever going to get a fucky with Cersei now.
And so Jaime's like, of course.
This fucking guy.
So Cersei is terrified. Looks terrified. And was like, okay, I've got a deal for you. If Jon Snow returns to Winterfell and the King of the North stays in the North as a neutral party, so that, like, if I draw my armies back to help you, you won't go and retake all the ground that you lost. Then I'll help. And Jon Snow, the fucking lovable idiot that he is, unable to tell a lie, says, I can't do that. I've sworn allegiance to Queen Daenerys. And like Tyrion and Daenerys is like, fucking lie. Just say you'll do it. And he won't do it. And so Cersei stands up and she's like, all right, we're done here. Have fun with your zombie war. And I guess we'll fight whoever the winner is. And she goes back to the Red Keep. So they're standing around like, well,
Jon, you fucking blew it.
What do we do now? And so Tyrion goes and meets with Cersei personally in her like office, which is so incredibly dangerous for him because she wants to kill him so badly, and it's just him and her in the mountain, and it would be so easy, right? He is able to deduce that she's pregnant because he pours her a glass of wine and she doesn't drink it, and then he's like, look, you are a cunt. You're terrible. You've done terrible things. You deserve to die. But I know that you love your family. And for the sake of your unborn child, we have to do this. So back at the Dragon Pit, everyone's waiting to see what happens with Tyrion or if he ends up dead or not. And here comes the queen again with all of her guards and shit. And they all march in. And she looks at Tyrion, she looks at Daenerys, and she says, House Lannister will aid in the fight against the White Walkers.
Okay.
See you later. It turns around and leaves. And they're like,
all right.
Fuck.
That went better than it could have.
Okay, let's leave now. This is great. So, okay, north in Winterfell. Holy shit. Littlefinger has convinced Cersei that Sansa's going to assassinate her.
Sansa that Arya's going.
Oh yes, the other way around. Yeah. Sorry, I'm like a little buzzed.
Yeah, you're mixing up your words.
Hence the name of the series.
Yes.
And so they have so Sansa in the Great Hall at Winterfell. Fucking Peter Baelish is leaning up against the wall watching. Calls her before her and everybody.
And, are you gonna kill me?
Well, no, she's like, you're accused of this sneaky thing and this sneaky thing, and you're a danger to blah blah blah, and you're a terrible thing. How do you answer these charges? Peter Baelish. And everyone was like, what the fuck? And Peter's like, hold on a second.
That was not the way I wanted this to go.
He's like, this whole thing is a joke, right? And Sansa's like, look, Bran's got powers. We don't get it, but we know this. That you betrayed our father. Mm-hmm. You are the reason he was killed. You murdered your wife, shoved her right out the fucking moon door. You did all these terrible things. And well, you're going to die now. And Peter is begging for Sansa to let him talk to her in private. He can explain everything. And he gets on his knees and he begs in front of everyone. Just panicked. Like, Littlefinger is able to get out of any situation. Yeah. And it's not working this time. And Arya walks up to him with a cat's paw dagger, cuts his throat, fucking kills him.
Damn.
Peter Baelish, fucking dead. God. Yep.
Good job, Arya. See, this is why every family should have a stone cold killer among them.
And an omnipresent,
all-knowing weird guy. Yeah.
Okay, so Jon and Daenerys get on the boat to go back to Dragonstone. Mm-hmm. And they're talking about all their shit. Sam and Gilly arrive at Winterfell. Oh. Because he's like, look, I dropped out at the Citadel. I'm no longer a student there.
But I brought all these cool books.
Yep, and we can figure it out.
I brought my dad's cool sword.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great.
He hooks up with Bran. He doesn't hook up with him, but he talks to Bran. And Bran's like, I don't want to explain how, but I can see everything that's ever happened, and everything is currently happening. And Sam's like, word?
Neat.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And Bran's like, I need to talk to you about something that I know that you know about already. And
okay.
Sam's like, okay. And he was like, so you know what the rumor was that started Robert's Rebellion, that Rhaegar Targaryen kidnapped and raped Lyanna Stark and killed her. Mm-hmm. He's like, yes. And he's like, well, it turns out that they were actually in love.
Oh.
And that Rhaegar never raped anyone. And that Jon Snow is his son.
Oh.
And then
intriguing.
Sam remembers this thing that Gilly was telling him about the annulment.
Oh.
And he was like, he's not a bastard. He annulled his marriage and he married Lyanna in secret. Jon Snow is the rightful heir to the fucking Iron Throne.
Interesting.
And Bran's like, yeah, sounds about right. Mm-hmm. Do you want to tell him? And so Jon and Daenerys sail back to Blackstone or Dragonstone, and they fuck. Huh. And while Varys and Tyrion stand outside and listen.
I mean, it's good for them, but also that whole situation sounds incredibly awkward.
Yeah.
And also it's going to be a little weird when they find out they're related, but I mean, they're also Targaryens, so it probably won't bother them too much.
Okay, so in King's Landing, Cersei walks in, and Jaime is in their map room with all of their bannermen, and he's planning the expedition north, and they're like, there's gonna be fucking zombie, dude, there's a dragon and shit. And she's like, okay, everyone get the fuck out of here. And she's like, what the fuck are you doing? And he's like, I'm gathering a buddy up. We're going to go north and the realms of men. What the fuck you just said?
Yeah.
And she's like, you fucking idiots. We're not doing that. We're letting them go up there. They're going to die. And then whatever challenge there is after that probably won't be strong enough to face us. And so we'll just fight them. Like, it's better for us if we fight whatever weakened force is left over. And Jamie was like, no, that will not do. I'm leaving. And she, for a moment, and the first time watching through this, you think she's going to do it too, because this is still a time in Game of Thrones where the plot armor wasn't so obvious. Mm-hmm. She has them out and draw a sword, and for a second looks like she's going to have Jamie killed. But then she lets him pass. And so Jamie gets on his horse all by himself.
Not even with his bro?
Nobody. Just himself. None of his Kingsguard armor on. It's just him in a fucking traveler cloak. He puts his glove over his golden hand and watches as, for the first time since the last winter, a snowflake falls in King's Landing and falls on his glove. And
dramatic.
Winter has come. Finally, after fucking 7 seasons.
After hearing it for 7 goddamn seasons.
All right. Now, one last thing. Mm-hmm. Tormund Giantsbane and Ed, who isn't on the map right now, but he's up here. Where did I put Tormund? Oh, he's probably still in King's Landing. Yeah. I'll have to readjust this when we do the next season.
You have at least a week.
He's up there with Ed and shit. Mm-hmm. They're patrolling Eastwatch by the Sea. And they look out over the wall, and there's a lone zombie. And they're like, what the fuck?
Okay.
Like, the wall, this is fine, but, like, weird.
Yeah.
And then the entire army of the dead is just lining up staring at the wall. And they're like, what is happening?
That's a little unnerving.
And then they hear a screech, and they look up, and through the fucking wintry bluster, a zombie dragon with the Night King riding him hurtles through the air toward the wall, hovers for a second, and then starts breathing this terrible fucking blue fire and demolishes the fucking wall.
None of that is good.
Yeah.
I do not enjoy hearing any of that.
And the wall and this part, Eastwatch by the Sea, falls. And for the first time in thousands of years, a White Walker walks across the threshold into fucking Westeros. That's
bad.
How the whole fucking season ends.
That's real bad.
Hop on Battlefront 2 with me. I don't know who the fuck you are. I'm sure you're a nice guy, but I don't know who you
Must be one of your admirers.
Yeah. We had a stream sniper I think last night that got his ass handed to him and was like in our chat and got banned by a mod and was begging the mod to unban him and then started begging the mod to deliver a message to me.
Oh my god.
Okay, so tomorrow, 7 o'clock Central, Gungans and Dragons. It'll be a blast. And then there will be Battlefront. And I think I'm still trophy hunting on Star Wars Outlaws. I have not finished it yet. I think once I get all the trophies until the DLC comes out, I'll probably be done with it because I've gotten over it very quick.
Yeah.
There will be the next episode of the Jedi Enclave Presents. Now, this is podcasting. Podcast will be Saturday next week at 6. And then the last fucking season, Game of Thrones. Say what you will about it.
It's over.
It's huge.
It ends.
Yeah, it is what it is.
It has an ending.
Yep, and we're going to talk about it. So make sure to follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. Follow us on Discord.